Plugin of the week is the Waves CLA MixDown. The CLA MixDown is a collaboration between, of course, Chris Lord-Alge, you can see his name right at the top, and Waves, and this is part of his Signature Series collection. This is the latest edition, and what you have is a similar layout as what you have with a lot of Signature Series plugins. You got an input gain, an output gain, bass, treble, glue, and drive. And essentially what it is, it's a mix bus processing chain that's put together by Chris, and it basically contains some of the key components that he uses regularly as part of his chain. So essentially what you have is bass and treble controls, which are more or less equalization. You have it's a low frequency shelf and a high frequency bell curve. They don't tell you what the frequency is. You have a glue, which gives you two different forms of compression. One is sort of a like slower attack, faster release, kind of pump the mix sort of compression. The other is a little bit more of a limiter, like faster attack and longer release to kind of smooth out a mix that way. So depending upon what your mix needs, either one of those can be good. And then the drive, and essentially the drive is like pushing the output of an SSL console. And that's specific because Chris through his work, at least in the analog realm, was primarily done through an SSL E-Series console. And part of the sound of that console, the signature sound of that console, is driving the output of the console. And when you hit those output amps of the console, they compress and really, really creates a harmonic distortion. It's really, really powerful and amazing. And a lot of people would gravitate towards pushing that. So that's kind of part of the sound here. Now, when you have the meter set up here, there's little calibration pins there. It defaults to -18, but you can calibrate it one way or the other if you're working on a different standard. You can check input level. So primarily when you're looking at the input level, you're looking at two things. Like with a lot of the Signature Series plugins, you get green, yellow, red, green, yellow, orange, red, something along those lines. And you kind of want to be working with a yellow light in here, but most of the signal, you're going to want to see the highest peaks coming up around 0 on the input side. The gain reduction meter is obviously going to show you gain reduction from the one gain reduction section, which is just the glue fader, and then you have the output. And so you can, and then the output will give you post level control here. So you can adjust input, output, and then kind of get started. So what I'm going to do here is, this is designed to be used either on a mix bus or on stem. So I'm actually going to start by putting this on the drums first. And well, he kind of says that it's more specifically designed, more for rock. I have a little bit of a hip hop kind of thing here, and I think it can works equally well as I was demoing it for this, and so I think it'll be also a good demonstration for showing off what it can do stylistically outside of what you would expect it to work on, understanding Chris's discography. All right, so you can see here, let's go back to our input level here. All right, so I'll kind of push it there, and it's going to balance the outputs here. Just kind of take these guys out for a second. Just to kind of balance the main ends on this. Let's go. So let's start by working with the glue, and I'll switch to gain reduction. So you can see I can really drive it. Usually these types of things work better if you just kind of give like a small amount of gain reduction. Oops, sorry about that. It's kind of spazzed out there for a second. And then let's make up my gain over here. Not a heavy distortion, but a nice subtle gain. also push low end. Usually it's best when you push low end to push high end, unless your mix is like really bright or really warm, just to kind of balance it. And the two can kind of take them in and out together. So what I did here was just purposely to kind of push this in one way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some keys that are the other part of it. I'll try not to spaz out here. And I'll set my... And then here I'm going to work on this with a little bit as more of a smoothing kind of thing with the gain reduction. Go back. So you can see the longer, more broadcast style release, you know, like that's like a real multi-stage release type of limiter. I can put a little drive. Maybe I'll back off on this and make it a little cleaner. So let's bring these in together. Try to be a little bit fair here. Gonna match the gain a little bit better. Can really hear how the depth field on it opens up. A really powerful tool, really cool tool. Really gives you like a nice edge and presence. So I did this purposely, and now I'm going to throw one final one here, and then let's kind of strip all of this back and kind of see if we can do something that sort of glues the whole mix together. So I'm kind of mostly guiding myself here by the VU meter, but also kind of keeping an eye on this. depth and you can hear how this kind of starts. Now, this is a very, very, very early stage mix, so it's just got like some basic instruments and just a smattering of EQ on a couple things, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, and having the CLA MixDown plugin on here, and part of that is by design. He actually recommends that you open up the plugin and start with it on the mix bus and then mix into it, so that way that you kind of as you're kind of following what's going on and you want to kind of maybe keep this one tied up into the corner so you can kind of watch the gain reduction meters, make sure you're not overdriving it or any of those types of things. But the idea there is that if you're mixing into it, you're going to make mix decisions that make the processes that are here more effective, and then you can kind of tweak them and kind of work them from there. But the basic idea, though, is pretty amazing, right? So just from a simple basic mix. Try to match that output a little better. Like a nice clarity, presence, and depth. Really cool plugin. I'm not always a big fan of plugins that are that don't give you all the parameters and dive under the hood, but I'm a bit more of a tweaker in that regard. But for this style of plugin, it sounds pretty amazing. Really excited about this one in terms of a go-to, particularly for working with stems and even mix stuffs. And certainly, if this is anything close to the processing chain that Chris Lord-Alge uses in his own mixes, it's something that's worth having in your arsenal, just as a way to kind of capture a bit of that vibe and a bit of that sound. He's been doing it for a long time, and it works. So it's worth taking a look at very least. And there you have it. The Chris Lord-Alge CLA MixDown plugin by Waves. It is the plugin of the week.